I'm hearing some silence on the panel, folks. I think Linda's dying to jump in here.
Well, the coalition maintains that all sales of guns should have a background check, period. Why not? How is that any infringement on anybody's right to have a gun?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you did that for every transfer, then you'd have a transfer from, say, my father to me of Gramps' old deer rifle.
Now, you
We'd
know
have to
that
go
the
down to the
legislation
FFL
is written, Steve. You
and do
know
the
that the
you just said all.
legislation is written so that there are those legacy transfers, right?
Yeah, you just
I
said
mean,
all.
it's written that way.
That's all I'm
You
saying.
know it is.
Here's the thing. The reason that I'm personally opposed to it, and by the way, MCRGO has no position on this specific issue, okay? Just because I'm on that board, I have to say
On
that.
background checks,
But
they don't?
no, on universal background checks, we have not taken a position that I'm aware of anyway. But my personal position is this. There's no need. It is an infringement in the sense that we're going to have to go down to somebody who's got access to NICS and pay that person some kind of a transfer fee. So we've got, not only are we having to go down and meet at the dealer's shop during normal business hours, he's going to charge us probably $50 just to check the background check for us and write up the paperwork. And it goes one step further toward creating a registry, which the MCRGO is definitely opposed to, and having a registry.
Why?
Okay.
Historical reasons, international historical reasons, basically. There's an excellent group, and you can find their website quite easily, called Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. And they were founded by Holocaust survivors who came to the U.S. after the war. And they have put together what they call the genocide chart that shows that every major genocide in the 20th century was preceded by gun registration and gun confiscation, including the Armenians in Turkey. And they'll tell you exactly what the laws were and exactly what time frame. It's usually about 2 to 3 years after the quote-unquote full registration scheme goes into place that some ethnic group loses their gun rights and the genocide follows. 200 million people estimated to have been killed by their own governments during the 20th century. That's a pretty powerful reason.
It's not clear to me how you got from background checks to registrations. I mean, that's always the argument, Steve, and it doesn't necessarily go there. You can't have a registration.
I just said one step closer to registration, right? Because the next thing then, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the next thing after that is usually we're going to limit the number of guns per month or per year that are purchased by an individual, which absolutely requires registration. And that usually goes right hand in hand in this conversation. Once we start talking about universal background checks, then the question is, well, we have to have limits too then, now that we have, right? Because I don't want to have a stockpile. Somebody shouldn't have more than so many guns.
Well, the truth of the matter is, with those 400 million guns that you were talking about, isn't it 35% or so of the population owns all of those guns?
I've read one study where it's
like
closer to half.
It's not like, you said,
We'll admit
one gun for every...
More than one. Yep.
Yeah, right. And the average gun owner has 7 or 8, something like that. It's not like, well, somebody has a long gun to go deer hunting with. That's not the way it is. That's not what the NRA wants. They want everyone to be afraid because the white gun hunting market is saturated. We know that. It's absolutely saturated. So now we need to push guns for self-protection. What a windfall to the NRA, to the gun manufacturers, if we require teachers to be armed. Oh my goodness.
Wait, hold on.
Who's going to pay for that?
No one that I'm aware of has suggested requiring teachers to be armed. The last thing any of us would want to do is tell someone you have to have a gun, for goodness sake.
I misspoke there.
Okay.
That's an optional
I'll
thing
take
at this
that
point, as
word
I understand
required
as well.
back,
Yeah.
but even if 10% of our school employees get guns. And the other question regarding schools and cost of the schools is, what about liability insurance? What are the agencies, the insurance companies, then insure schools. What are they going to do about that liability question?